Hello, everyone, and welcome to my house and maybe Dane's house. I don't know where Dane records from. I think it's a top secret location, but here's Dane Brugler from The Athletic. Hi, I'm Jeff Cavanaugh, and we're here to talk to you about the NFL draft. Dane, how are you today, sir?
I am good. It's actually 68 degrees here in Ohio, and we haven't seen 68 degrees in about 6 months. So
Oh,
it's awesome. Feeling good today.
did you go sunbathing? Did you get a lounge chair and take your shirt off, or what?
No, the neighbors don't need to see that, but did take the kids, all four of them, around the block a little bit, and went for a little walk, and took in the sunlight. We haven't seen the sun in a while.
You need to take some of your plug and play money and get a 6 foot privacy fence, maybe an 8 foot. That way you can do weird
Yeah,
stuff in the backyard.
yeah. I mean, when I bought about the land to build on. I wanted a lot of land, so it's gonna need a lot of fence. That's
Oh,
uh,
okay. I didn't know you were on a ranch. My bad.
well, it's just over an acre, so it's decent size. But
Okay.
yeah, no, I wanted to stretch my legs.
If you're
Place
in
for the.
Ohio and you're a fence maker and a big draft guy, hit up
There you
Dane.
go.
He can fence in the property. So plan for this evening when it comes to our draft talk, is I have a few things that I want to talk about. I asked people for their questions. Obviously, if you are watching right now, you want to super chat and make Dane talk about your team. That's cool. Otherwise, there will be a lot of Cowboys talk. Look at this. This is the most pissed I've seen Cowboy fans in years. Agreed. But also, I don't know if that's real life or if that is like social media life, where of the 100,000 people that are in AT&T Stadium for every game, maybe the 1,500 that are on Twitter are more pissed than I've ever seen. But I wonder if the entire fan base is as fed up as it seems like they are online.
Well, I mean, what is it's the Randy Gregory thing? It's the what Amari Cooper only getting a fifth. What else?
Well, and I think it's been since the end of the year. And I think it's because like
Yeah.
going into the year, the entire Cowboy fan base was like, man, if you could just play decent defense, they're going to kick ass. And then they played better than decent defense and the offense fell apart. And it was just like, now everybody's super mad. And I'm kind of like, they did go 12-5, but at some point, I think people are just mad of not meeting expectations all the time. Maury's Music says party at Dane's. Let's draft
Come
enough
on
O
over.
line to make us not care about free agents on defense. And Vance says, Dane, there's a bunch of sad Cowboy fans watching you. What could happen in this draft to turn our frowns upside down?
Well, hey, we just saw what could happen in the first round last year with Micah Parsons and what kind of impact he made. Now, you're not going to find a Micah Parsons every year. That's just not realistic. But there's some good players in this draft that are going to be there at 24. It could be a wide receiver. It could be a Zion Johnson. It could be, someone on defense. Now, I do just talking to other teams and kind of getting a feel for what they think other teams are going to do. I haven't. Every other team that I talk to thinks the Cowboys are going offense, offense, offense. That's it. That no one thinks they're going defense. They think they're either offensive line or they're going to do something. Make some type of splash because they want to get more explosive. They want to put points on the board. So, I mean, I think it's offensive line or wide receiver at 24. At this point, I'd be surprised if it's anything else.
Okay, so we're going to go with the surprise then, because it's where I want to go, because it's where a lot of people who are listening right now and in the chat want to go. Henry said, now the boys have painted themselves into corner. Is there any way a DN falls to 24, or will you have to trade up? Such a horrible offseason. Because I did share at Time for Jeffrey, I have to get used to my new Twitter handle and not having a blue check mark, that if you were going to pick an edge guy in this draft and you're the Cowboys, there's 6 names that I would say, okay. And after that, I'm like, no, figure it out later. And those names are Aiden Hutchinson. Now, obviously, some of these will be long, long gone, but
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau at Oregon, Trayvon Walker at Georgia. This is my order of them too. George Karloftis at Purdue, who might be the most realistic, even though he's my 4th guy. David Ojabo at Michigan, Jermaine Johnson at Florida State. Odds any of the 6 make it to 24. And can you give me another edge that if he went in the top 24, you would think was deserving?
I don't think it's realistic that any of the 6 will be there just because we're talking about a pass rusher. Those guys go early, especially in a draft like this where we don't have a ton of quarterbacks. We don't have a lot of other key positions. I think teams are going to look at pass rushers and say, let's just, let's gamble on one of these guys and, we'll feel like we're, in a good spot. So if one were to fall, I think it actually might be Ojabo just because you got to hide him versus the run. There's a lot that he still doesn't know about the game of football and specifically playing the run. So Ojabo could be the one that would slip a little bit. And then, what kind of impact does he make for you and how early if you're the Cowboys, if that's the direction they would go. If there is a 7th guy, I mean, Logan Hall is my next guy from Houston, but as I feel like I like Logan Hall more than anybody. I wouldn't feel great about him at 24. I wouldn't feel like I'm getting one of the 24 best players in the draft. So if you're not getting one of those top 6, I think you're reaching. I mean, Boye Mafe is a name that I think we'll hear a lot about from Minnesota. He's an athletic marvel. I mean, 6'4", 260. He jumped, I think, 41.5 today at his pro day. He rested on the 40 times. I think he was in the 4.5s. But he's another guy that you don't trust him versus the run, and he's still figuring things out as a pass rusher. So Boye Mafe is a name realistically that could get into the first round, but I wouldn't feel great about him at 24.
Why red? Realistically, what could they do with 4 5th-round picks? That's right. My Cowboys are collecting darts, baby. We got darts for the board. How far do I need to go up to pick a punt god? How far do I need to go up for Matt Araiza at San Diego State so we can just have an 80-yard punter?
I will be very interested to find out if he is on the board when we start day 3. Wow. There's a decent chance he could sneak into day 2 and into that top 100 range. Just because, again, teams view him as a defender. They view him as a weapon because of what he could do with his leg. And when you kind of look at it from that perspective as being a defensive player and not just a punter, it kind of makes sense. It kind of does. And I think that you have to be pretty confident in what you're doing. I mean, Jason Light drafted a kicker in the 2nd round, and thankfully he won a Super Bowl, or else we'd still be referring to him as the general manager who drafted a kicker in the 2nd round.
And he had to get rid of him, didn't he? Didn't it turn out he couldn't kick in the NFL for a while? Like he wasn't good at it?
He lasted a year, and then he bounced around. He was the Bears for a little bit, and he might still be bouncing around, but yeah, it was a disaster. So yeah, Ariza's a different cat. He's pretty good. So it'll be interesting to see if he's still around by the time day 3 rolls around.
Okay, so it's Ariza, not Araiza. Ariza.
Tomato. I don't know.
Oh, I was trying to make sure I put proper respect on punt god, and now we're not even sure.
Well, now you got me second guessing myself.
I just go with my gut, and when I'd see that name, I'd set Araiza in my head. And I'll tell you what, Dane, you might have been ahead of me on him, but if you were, it wasn't by too terribly far because Amanda was doing sidelines in that conference. And so like the 2nd or 3rd game of the year, she was like, they have a punter that kicks the ball 80 yards. And I was just like, my guy.
Yeah. I mean, the Dixon from Texas, the punter, when he was coming out a couple years ago, that was the last time I remember any type of, like a buzz on a punter. Yeah, and he went 5th round. So, this guy, if he is still around in the 4th, in the Cowboys, I wouldn't blame him if they used the 4th rounder on him.
Just, package one of your 5s with a 4 to jump up to the top of 4 and go get your punter.
There you go.
I'm talking about.
Save this
Will
draft.
the Cowboys pick 2 specialists in this draft?
Oh, man, they need to, don't they? Jeez.
They don't have a punter and they don't have a kicker, which is better than some of the combinations of kicker punter they've run out.
This is true. I don't know. I think everyone's going to expect that, if you draft a kicker to be Evan McPherson, but that's just, not going to happen. So, Dicker the kicker, keep him in Texas. Maybe. I don't know.
Why not? Mike said the Vikings are trying to shed Daniil Hunter. You willing to give up a 5 or 6 to make that happen? He was hurt last year, right? Is that what's going on with Daniil Hunter and why they're trying to get rid of him? Because sure, just top of my mind, Daniil Hunter's a good player.
Yeah, I mean, he's still going to be expensive though. Like, if you're trading for him, I think it's 18 million is what he's at. I can't remember exactly. But
we don't have that much. We only had 5 and 70 for a defensive end that's not going to be here. So you have to take a little bit of a discount. Come down to that number.
Yeah. So I mean, they're shopping in a different neighborhood. I think that's just reality of this current situation, and it is what it is. There's no point in lamenting why they're in this position. It's just, this is facts. So how do they get better? And I think, okay, what's the ideal, top first 3 rounds for you? If you're, a Cowboys fan, what's the ideal first 3 rounds?
If I had my druthers, I think the first 3 rounds would probably go left guard. So Zion Johnson or Kenyon Green. Second round, like Sky Moore or George Pickens, so wide receiver. Third round, if you have an edge you like, that's fine. If you have a tight end you like, if they're not going to do a long-term deal, I think you could do tight end, but I might lean linebacker, maybe left guard, third wide receiver, third linebacker. Good plan? Bad plan?
I like it. I think that makes sense. And I think it matches up well with, I think the names you mentioned are realistic too. With Zion and Kenyon Green, one of them should be there at 24. I'll be surprised if, both of them are gone. And I think you feel good about either one that you're getting. And then in the second round, I guess there's a chance that both of them guys could be gone. Sky Moore, I mean, he's definitely really well liked, but I don't know. He probably doesn't
I don't
make
know,
it.
Dan. You should probably tell people who aren't on social media your Sky Moore nugget, because he is now officially the best player in the draft and the best receiver prospect of all time.
Yeah. So I asked the team for, just on their stopwatches, who had the fastest 10-yard split at the combine. And for them, this team, it was Sky Moore at 139, which is
it's not even a real human number.
No, anything under 1.5 is just otherworldly. I mean, it's just remarkable. And he got under 1.4, which is just not really human. So yeah, it's a pretty impressive number. Talk about initial quickness.
Okay. I do want to talk to you about these wide receivers too.
Right.
So that will be our next topic. Let me knock out some super chats real quick. Wesley says, "What's good, Jeff? Keep going strong. Cowboys going to be fine. It's first day of free agency and early in the offseason." Yeah, I mostly agree with that, but sports fans are crazy if you don't know that yet. Not as crazy as, like, Cowboy fans aren't quite as crazy as college fans. Like, anybody who went to a Power 5 school, they're insane. They're not normal. It's not healthy. But yeah, when you got your emotions all up in your sports, man, people are gonna get fired up. Be Rich, best off season for the Cowboys in over a decade. Same old breed, same old results. Dane, do you see similarities from Green Bay to how Cowboys draft since Mike McCarthy arrived? I don't know if Mike McCarthy's really been super hands-on in terms of like the personnel acquisition.
Yeah.
Like Dan Quinn has been for the defense for sure.
Right.
I don't know that McCarthy's been super involved. Plus it was a defensive draft anyway. It's the last one.
Right.
So I don't think so.
No, not to this point, at least. Now we'll see if he's got his fingerprints on what they do at 24 this year. That'll be interesting.
Charles, who best helps Dak and Parsons? That's 2 different questions. Jordan Davis, ? Linderbaum, ? Yeah, an offensive lineman most helps Dak. And yes, Jordan Davis is probably the name that helps Micah Parsons the most. You want Micah Parsons to tackle everyone, put Jordan Davis in the middle.
Yeah, he won't be there. Mike Tomlin had a good quote today. He was at Georgia's Pro Day, and someone asked him about possibility of Jordan Davis being there at 20 for the Steelers, and he said, I think that he's going to be hugging the commissioner long before he gets to us. So I think Coach Tomlin's right with that remark.
And Tomlin then said, the good news is there's about 8 other dudes I'm watching right now that I want on my team.
Exactly. Quay Walker, I tell you, he might be – I'm seeing in the chat, Quay Walker in the 3rd round. Quay Walker might be the first Georgia linebacker drafted.
Okay. Gosh, you know what? I want to say that's shocking, but I've been watching the trend. And for me, the trend is just watching people who are plugged in, right? You,
Hmm.
Lance Zierlein, other guys who do like their mock drafts and things like that. And Nakobe Dean is sitting pretty consistently now, I think, available when the Cowboys pick and not being picked by the Cowboys. And it's just like, all right, here goes your 5'10", 5'11" linebacker thing. Where
Well,
somebody,
how do you feel about him not working out at the combine and then not working out? Or let me rephrase, because he did work out today at the pro day, but he did not do the 40, the agility drills, the testing part of things. Like that's if you're not doing it, you're not doing it for a reason. I mean, plain and simple. And it's
right?
not an injury thing. So for a guy that's an undersized linebacker, that's got to scare you a little bit.
Yeah, I guess, but I think if I'm not picking in the top 10 to 15 and you have the tape that he has, I would say that's fine. It is interesting because like watching him on tape, what I told people I saw was like a supercharged Nick Bolton, where it was like the diagnosis is so fast, but he's also very fast
Hey,
and quick.
should I answer it on the live on the?
Yeah, if Gil's calling, yeah, you should answer. And if you have to
Oh,
mute it, you can mute it. Gil
oh.
Brandt calling Dane, everybody.
Gil and I talk every day this time of year. It's just our daily phone call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
I thought you were actually going to answer it. That was what I was going. I wanted
no,
Gil
I'm
on.
sorry. I was going to, but I missed it.
Oh,
So
okay.
listen, Quay Walker, like for a guy that's that
Quay's
big, and
full size, and how did he test? Like Quay's full size. That's one of the
yeah,
things that moved him up for me. Is I'm watching Quay Walker, and it was like, okay, sometimes Nakobe Dean gets mad at him because he's in the way because Nakobe Dean sees things so fast. But like that's a fluid, full size, move forward, move backward, tackle. Like Quay Walker's got all the things. He's going to check all those boxes.
yeah. I mean, for a guy that's almost defensive end size, he's 6'4", 241. Ran a 4.52. I mean, I mean, 1 year starter too, so you feel like there's still some untapped potential there. I wouldn't. He was at number 33 in my mock draft, so I would not be surprised at all if he snuck into the first. And Dean being undersized, and I agree with you. It's not like you watch his tape and you think, okay, this guy's not a great athlete or he's deficient as a mover. But
90% of the time, he's going to beat Channing Tindall and Quay Walker to the football.
yeah,
And they're both bigger and faster, I guess, because he didn't test running. But so I
and I
get
think
they're both
that's
faster.
fair, and I think that speaks to just his read react. You know, his ability to key and diagnose. That's kind of what makes Nakobe Dean a potential first rounder.
Catboy Jones, not even trying to hide tank for Sean Payton in full effect, but we're under the cap. Thank you, Jay. Let's see if we got any more before I move on to my next topic. Love you guys, but the Mavs are playing the Nets right now. We'll watch this after. Keep up the good work. Thanks for donating to tell me. That's incredible of you. King Shadow, Zion or Green at 24, Moore or Pickens at 56, Walker or Chanel, Dolchich or Cook. Chanel at 88, Dolchich or Cook at 129. Well, I guess since we're doing this linebacker thing, I do have a couple linebacker questions for you. Vance, between Green and Johnson, which of them projects to be the better offensive tackle in the NFL? I think they're both guards. Kenyon
Who
Green
is it?
played Kenyon Green and Zion Johnson, but
Oh
I think
yeah,
they're both NFL guards to me. But
Zion
Kenyon
Johnson played.
Green,
He played tackle last year and it did not go well. He's a guard.
okay. Well, if if like your tackles and your swing tackle rolled their ankle, like Kenyon Green could go do it, I guess. But
Yeah,
I don't think you want that.
no, you don't.
Dane, could Tyler Smith, that's Tulsa, right?
It
Or
is Fort Worth.
Sawyer plug and play at left guard if you miss on Zion Johnson and Kenyon Green?
Tyler Smith has got to be one of the most biggest wild cards in this draft because he is so gifted with the. Have you watched him yet, Tyler
I've
Smith?
not watched him yet. He's my next offensive lineman because I think Jeremiah had him like in his top 30 or something.
Yeah, which I mean, I love DJ, but I just don't know how you. I mean, it's all upside with him because I mean, you have to rebuild his fundamentals from the ground up, and maybe if you kick him inside to guard. Maybe you can get something out of him as a rookie, maybe. But I mean, he had 16 penalties last year. Like this guy, he's so undisciplined. And it's not like it's something that can't be fixed. It can be fixed, but it's not a guarantee that it's going to happen or even happen, overnight or quickly in his rookie season. So where I would feel comfortable drafting Tyler Smith is not the top 50, probably maybe with the Cowboys second rounder, but I don't think he's going to make it that far because someone's going to just jump all over those raw traits and hope he becomes something. But I don't know, man. I'll be eager to see what you think of him after you watch him. Drafting him top 50 is just pretty rich for me.
Quick question from Avery. Which round do you think Thomas Booker, Drake Jackson, and Alontae Taylor go? And are those real names? I know Drake Jackson is.
All real names, yeah. Alontae Taylor I like as actually a safety. He played outside corner for Tennessee. But, I mean, the dude is physical, competitive. He's a 4'3" athlete at 6'2", 200 pounds. I like him better at safety, but I think he gives you versatility. I think he'd be a core special teamer too. So I think once you get to day 3, he could be off the board at any point. So I think 4th, 5th round is fair for Alontae Taylor. Drake Jackson, I like him. I think he's a day 2 player. Kind of a weird trajectory at USC because he came in this big time recruit, had this great freshman year, and then they had him lose all this weight when Todd Orlando, the former Texas defensive coordinator, went to USC. They played him at that B backer, so he went from like 275 to 240, and all of a sudden he couldn't play with power. And so they're trying to get the weight built back onto him, and so Drake Jackson's interesting, but I think he could be maybe a good value pick on day 2, someone that outplays where he's eventually drafted. And then who was the other player you mentioned?
It was Drake Jackson, Alontae Taylor, Thomas Booker.
Thomas Booker, maybe the smartest player in this draft. I mean, the guy is really, really smart. Stanford, no surprise there. And he tested pretty well. It's just you watch his tape and you're like, all right, where's the impact? I'm waiting for him to make an impact and just doesn't do it consistently enough. So I think somewhere 5th, 6th round, you take a chance, you roll the dice on those traits. You roll a dice on a guy that's borderline a genius, or just a really smart individual. So 5th, 6th round, I think seems fair for Booker, but maybe even goes a little bit earlier for a team that really bets on those traits.
Thank you, GD Smith, in the super chat. And thank you to B Rich, who is clearly the Mike McCarthy guy of record watching this, which I appreciate. I'm halfway a McCarthy guy. Said these last 2 drafts is phase 1 of him getting rid of all the bad contracts, and then they're going to party. Okay, you dang super chatters. I've been trying to get back to the damn linebackers. And I'd also like to point out that Big Smoke said, you get a haircut, Jeff. Now, is that saying I need to, or is that a question? Because I didn't. I'm rocking the hair tie because I didn't want to wear a hat today. Yeah, I want to go back to the linebackers because we've talked about quite a few of them, but there's a couple that after watching their athletic testing, I need your help on because like Leo Chenal, Wisconsin, watched his tape. And honestly, I was like, okay, that's like I'd be thrilled in the 4th round, maybe happy in the 3rd, maybe. And because he's 6'2", 260. He's a old school build. Like he's not tall, but he's thick. He's not long arm, but he's strong. He just wants to blow everybody up. He's a freight train. And I'm like, all right. So he's a run forward, run into people linebacker. Then he did his athletic testing. And I'm like, wait, is he a full blown freak? Like, can he be a guy that covers? Now, what are we doing with Leo Chenal?
I mean, in 1995, he would have been a top 10 pick. Just with, but the way the game is today, it's just different because what does he give you on passing downs? Does his
athletic testing give you hope for passing downs?
Yeah, of course. I mean, so at 250 pounds, he ran a 4.53 in the 40 and a half inch vert. At his pro day, he was under 7 seconds in the 3 count, 6.98. And he also put up 34 on the bench just for, S's and G's. So,
did you get good numbers from his pro day? Because I saw ones that were tweeted out, and if they were accurate, it would be he's the best athlete to ever play linebacker. And I was like, I don't know if I believe this.
No, yeah, I only use what teams send me. So
okay, so you don't have him as a 3.94 in the short shuttle.
He was a 4.24 in the short shuttle.
Okay. All right.
That
So
is,
he's not
yeah.
the best ever. He's just a good
No,
athlete.
but yeah, for a guy that's 250 pounds, 4.24 is pretty good. And under 7 seconds in the 3-cone, 6.98. That's pretty good. Those are the only two things, and on the bench press that he did at the pro day. But yeah, I mean,
Well, he's got
he's
T-Rex arms. He's 250 and he's got T-Rex arms. That's easier to bench. I got long arms. It's hard.
31-inch arms. That is fair. I think that's the big question: is what does he give you on third downs? I think that's it's one thing to project that. But that's obviously a big projection to see how he holds up in coverage. I mean, he's just a guy that he's unproven covering seam speed. Just wasn't asked to do it. That's not what he did. The recovery athleticism I thought was lacking. Like if he makes a false step, he's not going to make it up to be a factor in coverage. He's not used to anticipating and driving on routes. He needs to develop a feel for passing lanes. He has 2 career pass breakups in his career. I mean, that's just, and again, part of it was because he was asked to be a downhill player. He wasn't asked to
T-Rex
go in
arm
reverse.
Can't reach the ball.
Hey, maybe that's part of it. I don't know, but it does make it Chenault tough to peg. In my 2-round mock that I came out with a couple weeks ago, I did not include him, and he was close. I mean, he was right. It was down to him and I think Damone Clark for one of the last picks in the 2nd round, so he was almost in there. But because some of these questions we're asking ourselves, I wouldn't be surprised if he's still there in the 3rd round. I don't think he's getting to the Cowboys pick in the 3rd round, but I think he goes somewhere top 75.
Okay, now one other linebacker, because we talked about most of the top ones, I feel like already, but one other guy that is the same thing. I watched him on tape and I went, oh my God, this guy's a freaking missile. But forward player, don't really see him play backwards. Channing Tindall, Georgia linebacker number 3. And I'm just like, dude can freaking run. Yeah. He can hit. He's going to run you down. You're not going to beat him to the sideline. You're going to get tackled. That's Channing Tindall. Then he tests athletically, and I go, well, could he develop in the coverage part of it? And now where does he belong? Because I was like, okay, Dean's in the 1st round, Walker's in the 2nd, Tindall's in the 3rd or 4th. And then he tested, and I'm like, shit, am I shortchanging Channing Tindall now? What are you doing with him?
Yeah, no, I thought he was based just on tape. I put him in the 3rd round. That was the tape grade for Channing Tindall. And it's fascinating because he has as many starts in college as you and me. He has as many pass breakups as you and me.
So he's the 3rd linebacker in. Like he's the one who either Dean or Quay Walker has to come off the field, and he goes on.
Exactly. I mean, it makes more sense now why Jermaine Johnson transferred to Florida State. Just to get on the field. Get reps. So Tindall, I mean, you 6'2", 230, 4.47 in the 40, 42-inch vert. I'll get the official numbers tomorrow. What he did in the shuttles and 3-cones from the pro day today. But yeah, Tindall can move, and I think that there's for a guy that's never started before, there's going to be a learning curve for him. So I don't know as a rookie that he's going to give you anything more than maybe some sub package snaps, and he'll be a speed demon on special teams as well. But I think if you're expecting Channing Tindall to come in and be a year 1 impact guy, I'm just not sure he's going to be ready for that yet. But when you have the traits that he does, you feel good that he could develop into a starter. It just might not be till year 2 or 3.
One more linebacker. No, 2 more I want to ask you about just really quickly because I'm just looking up the ones that I have and the order I have them in. How much do you like Christian Harris, Alabama?
I do like him quite a bit. Now, he's interesting. He was a corner in high school, goes to Alabama, and they move him to linebacker, and he starts right away as a true freshman for Nick Saban, which
a high school corner was starting at linebacker for Nick Saban?
As a freshman, yeah. That in itself says something.
That's pretty pounds when he got there?
I to be honest with you, I don't know the exact weight.
Is he a 220-pound corner? What are we?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, I mean, they played him at corner, they played him at safety, and he was a wide receiver. So, but he didn't play linebacker. And then he goes to Alabama. They move him to linebacker, and I mean, he was recruited as a linebacker, but he's but he ran a 4.4 at the combine. So that tells you something about his speed. The guy can move. Now, too many missed tackles. He needs to clean things up. But a guy that is that versatile of an athlete. He's got play speed. He's got intangibles. He's still developing in several key areas, just in terms of diagnosing the action. And, you want to see him pull the trigger like a half second quicker, so he can better leverage gaps and, just has a better feel for play direction. But this is a guy you think is going to be a scheme diverse 3-down player. Just might have to grow into it a little bit.
Okay, now having said that, I feel like we went through a lot of these linebackers without mentioning among guys I've seen. Is it Asamoah at Oklahoma? He's not a big guy, but holy cow, he freaking flies. Yeah. Brandon Smith at Penn State, who looks like he's a Madden creative player, but also looks like, how do you say? Like I watched him and I was like, I don't know if he has any idea what he's doing. Yeah. And then Troy Anderson, who's a quarterback, running back, linebacker. It's like, he's awesome. So outside of 3 names, are we talking about a linebacker class where you're going to be able to pick apart sort of the flaws of all of them once you get past Quay Walker?
Yeah, and I think I think you feel good about the depth that's going to be there for you, 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. I think besides, in my opinion, edge rusher, pass rusher, the best position this year, the deepest. And we just talked about 6 guys going the first, 20, 22 picks. And then I think day 2, day 3, there's some quality edge rushers. Linebacker, it's right there with some of these, maybe receiver, maybe offensive tackle as being the next strongest position in this class. Even though we have questions about these guys, even Chad Muma from Wyoming, all the guys you just mentioned, Troy Anderson, who is, I don't love his feel for defense. Like he's a former offensive guy. And so I think there's still a transition going on there for him. But for a guy that's 6'3.5", 243 pounds, runs a 4.42 in the 40, and it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing at all. He had 147 tackles last year. Yes, it was at the FCS level, but I mean, you just don't do that if don't have some semblance of an understanding of what you're doing. So Troy Anderson, I don't know if he gets out of the 2nd round. I mean, maybe he's an option for this team at 50. What did they pick? 56 in the 2nd round. So it's just this linebacker class is fun, and I think there's plenty of options 2nd, 3rd, 4th round.
Now, I don't know if you have your rankings in front of you, but just top of your head, can you rip off in order like your top 8 to 10?
All right, so it's Devin Lloyd 1, Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker 2, 3. I've got them pretty similar. Chad Muma 4 from Wyoming, Damone Clark 5 LSU, Christian Harris Alabama, Leo Chenal Wisconsin. So that's 6, 7. Then probably Troy Anderson 8. All those, so those 8 right there are in the top 75. So late 2, early 3. And then after Anderson, Channing Tindall, and probably Asamoah. Those would probably be the top 10 right there. All 10 belong in the top 80, top 85 picks.
Good. I'm making notes to see if I need to go back and if I effed anything up. Not that I care what you think. I'm about what I think.
Yeah, that's anything that those rankings surprise you, or do you disagree with, or?
I know. So the one I really wanted to know where you had Damone Clark, because he was the one guy, the LSU linebacker, that I turned on the tape, and I don't know. I didn't have anything. A lot of these guys, it's like I can find the trait where I'm like, yep. And with him, I'm like, I don't know. His take on was inconsistent. He's not jumping off of here, just making a ton of plays. And so he was the guy that I struggled with, where I was like, I don't know if I would take him before day 3. But Broadus loves him. If you have him as a top 5 linebacker, it sounds like your boy needs to go back to the tape and see if I can. What are the traits that you really like on Clark?
He took a big jump his senior year, and I think just working downhill, his speed angles, he's seeing things so much better now than when watching him over the summer based on his junior tape. But I think he's a guy that he's a 4.5 athlete at 239 pounds, so he's got speed. I think that just the key and diagnose, I think, is there. Above average chase speed is there. A really good finisher when he gets there at the tackle, when he makes the tackle. I do think that is fair about the take on. Like I think he can stack and shed, but he's not an explosive take on guy, and so better navigating those roadblocks is something he needs to get better at, just to consistently stay ahead of schedule of the play. But I think he's a guy that, there's a lot there with his play speed, the ball hunting skills. I do like. Now I think I mentioned him at 5, but he's pretty closely, like, I've got him on a similar tier as Christian Harris, Leo Chenal, Troy Anderson. Like, those guys are pretty closely stacked together.
All right, Dylan Johnson said, sorry I'm late, but what's the scoop on Bobby Wagner? Unless something is new on Twitter, there is no scoop on Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, are we talking about linebackers for nothing? I mean, is that prospects?
Come on, man, you know better than that. They're not gonna give real money to anybody that wasn't already on their roster. They had 5 for 70 for Gregory. They don't have it for somebody that's not on their roster. Against the rules.
And we have to remember too, with we don't know what Jabril Cox is going to give us next year, right?
I hope he starts.
Yeah.
Jabril Cox is one of the very rare where I think as draft guys, I'll just speak for me. As a draft guy, you can pick a guy I like in the 4th or 5th or 6th, and it's like I'm talking about him, and it's like, holy crap, Jeff's talking about him like he's going to be an NFL starter. And if you're picked
Xavier Woods.
And if you're picked Anthony Brown, and if you're picked on day 3, a lot of times it's never going to happen. But Jabril Cox was one of those guys that I was like, before day 3 started, I was like, whoever gets Jabril Cox is going to make a great pick. Dude can play. Jonathan said, would you move Parsons to full-time edge and go into draft linebacker, guard, and 3rd wide receiver? Steven's killing this team. I think Micah Parsons is probably... It's a weird thing to say in such a competitive league at the highest level on planet Earth. I think Micah Parsons is one of one, and he doesn't have to be full-time anything.
Yeah.
Every week, every play, whatever. This week, the quarterback's running zone read. Great. Michael will track him down. Next week, this quarterback doesn't move. Go rush the passer. I think he's literally one of one in the NFL with – he doesn't have a position.
That's just like saying Chiefs, like only line up Tyreek Hill in the slot. You know, don't put him in the backfield. No motions, no outside. Like, only keep him in the slot. I mean, why? You know, like it's just you're limiting what you can do, and defenses have to worry about where Tyreek Hill is every time that they line up. And it's kind of similar for offenses in terms of the protection scheme and what the quarterback's doing. They have to know where Micah Parsons is every time when they line up at the line of scrimmage. And that's going to affect what they do with the play call. So not knowing what Micah Parsons is going to give you on any given play, if you're an offense, if you're a quarterback, that's pretty scary. So yeah, keep them doing that.
Christopher, couldn't you convert Brandon Smith to D-end and let him do one job? That's an interesting question I hadn't even thought of. It's a Penn State linebacker that, again, I think
he's got the size.
He looks like an incredible athlete. Looks like he's built in a lab. And when I watched him play linebacker, I was like, is he a guy who just started playing linebacker, or like he just kind of looks lost out there? So if you told me he had the physical traits to try it, I'll take him on the top of day 3 because that's the kind of dude he looks like.
6'3.5", 250, 34 and 5/8 inch arms. So really
I'll
long.
take him with my 4th round pick just on his athletic ability and say, hey, go try rushing the passer.
4.52 in the 40. I mean, he's got some juice to him. 37.5-inch vert. So he's got some lower body explosion. I mean, that's not a bad idea because I think he is not a very good linebacker. And so could he be a pass rusher? I think that is worth trying, especially when you get to day 3 picks. Heck yeah, try it.
King Shadow, we like our guys in alternating capital letters. That's a shout at the Cowboys. Breaking, Cowboys re-sign Zeke, 5 years, 80. Get out of here. Leave me alone. Worst contract in football. Okay, next position group. And I know in theory, well, we do. We talk about all the players. So we are talking about every team because you can hear us talk about players that your team might take. This is Cowboys centric, but it's also just about the tight ends in this draft class. Like Dalton Schultz is on the franchise tag right now. I hadn't heard a peep about getting a long-term deal done. If he's playing on the tag, and I'm looking for a tight end in this draft class that I think can contribute as a rookie, and I believe by year 2 can be a decent starter at worst. How deep does that group go? By year 2, I expect you to be a decent starter at least and maybe a good one.
So you're trying to find another Dalton Schultz, basically.
Yeah, that doesn't take till year 4 to pop off because
That's
he's
true.
going to inherit the starting role in year 2.
Yeah. Maybe in the 4th you can find a guy like that. Maybe, probably not, but maybe. I think that this is a tight end class where that third, fourth round is going to be a sweet spot. We're going to see a ton of tight ends drafted in third, fourth, fifth round. Those 3 rounds, there's going to be a ton of tight ends off the board. And I want to notice Jeremy Ruckert make it to you in the 4th. The Ohio State tight end, who I thought initially was going to go maybe in the 2nd, but he wasn't able to work out at the combine because he got hurt at the Senior Bowl, and just we'll see if he works out the Ohio State Pro Day. But Ruckert, I think, is just a guy ready to blow up. I mean, he is 6'5.5", 250 pounds, and I think he's a good athlete, good ball skills, catches the ball well, can hold his own as a blocker, not a good blocker, but average blocker. Jeremy Ruckert, to me, is the one guy that I'd be really keeping tabs on to see where he falls. Does he go top 100? Does he go in the 3rd round? If he makes it to the 4th round, that's where I'm kind of looking at. Maybe I need to move up and go get Ruckert.
Avery, any day 3 gems that no one is talking about yet? I guess potentially Ruckert qualifies for that, huh?
People should be talking about. I mean, went to Ohio State, and even though he wasn't targeted a ton, still he was a top recruit. He just because they're just so loaded at receiver at Ohio State. You watch the Rose Bowl and you understand why he didn't get a ton of targets in that offense.
Antoine, thanks, Cowboys. I'm an alcoholic now. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Hang in there. Chill out. Don't do it. Okay, next question from me. If you need an edge and you want him to be a starter from day 1, how deep does that list go where you can say it with confidence? NFL starter day 1. Does it go beyond 5 or 6 guys?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that's necessarily. I mean, I think you could find a guy that can come in and start. It's just at what level of a starter is he
Right,
going to
he's not
be?
going to be an impact pass rusher, but he could line up and start.
Yeah, I think like a guy like Josh Paschal from Kentucky, 6'3", 270 pounds. Like, he can come in and start for you, and I think he'd be a really good run defender. And anything he gives you as a pass rusher is just kind of a bonus. So, you get him in the 3rd round, and you've got a starter. But is it at the impact level you're going to want at defensive end? That's a big question. So, and the same thing with like a guy like Kingsley Enagbare in the 2nd round from South Carolina. 6'4", 260, not going to give you a ton of just that suddenness off the edge, but heavy-handed dude. Is a little methodical in his rush, but he can knock down the door and be disruptive. So he can come in and start for you. So I think in 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, you can find a guy that can come in and start for you. But is it going to be are you going to look to replace him in 2 years? Or not replace him, but are you going to look for an upgrade? Is he a guy that's going to give you enough for what you're looking for? I think that's the big question. I think I'd rather have I'd rather sign a guy off the street to start and take a chance on an upside guy that maybe could grow into that role. Like in the 2nd round, a guy like Logan Hall, or if Boye Mafe falls to you in the 2nd round, a guy like that who has some question marks. I don't know he's able to step in right away, but if I'm getting a long-term starter, I'm okay with that in the 2nd or 3rd round.
Burner created a burner account for this. Since Jeff's afraid to talk about kickers, Dane, can you speak on this class of kickers? I'm not afraid to. I'm not going to watch tape on a kicker. I know a punter. Be that good. I'll know you. Be that good.
Last year I thought Evan McPherson, he was the clear-cut top kicker out of Florida. And turns out he was the best rookie kicker we've seen in a long time. It's unrealistic to think this draft's going to have the same type of guy, but Cade York from LSU, I think he's the top kicker. Dicker, the kicker, Cameron Dicker from Texas, he'd be number 2, and then the Oklahoma kid would probably be number 3.
Dang,
those 3
not
kickers.
All that confident in his kicker takes. He's not all that confident. I saw it in your eyes.
I'll be completely honest. I I just take what I'm told basically from special teams coaches and what they like. Because
do teams have kicker scouts, or do they just kind of wing it?
No, I mean every team does it differently, but like area scouts, like you have to put a grade on a kicker, and usually it's I know they hate doing it because it's just a miserable write up to do, but
just write up their field goal percentage and how far they can kick it.
Yeah, just
80% made a 56-yarder. Thanks.
Leg power, yeah. No, but then you got to meet with the special teams coach, go over it with him. But I mean, you have to get the stopwatch out. You have to know, okay, from the time the punter receives the snap till it's off his foot, what's the average for him on the stopwatch? I mean, that's
okay. I thought you meant like the 40 time. I was like, that's
no. Yeah,
punter
no,
should opt out.
Yeah. No, they usually do. Most kickers and punters do not do 40s or agility drills. Some of them will show off.
Yeah, if they're fast, they will.
Yeah, exactly. So, but most of them, they don't.
Gavin Reed asked, what are your thoughts on wide receiver Kyle Phillips from UCLA? I like him a lot in the mid rounds.
Yeah, he's not a fast guy.
That was no.
I mean,
you did the inflection thing.
Well, because after he did really well at the Shrine, and so people were like, "Oh, second round, third round," and that's where I was okay. You can have Kyle Phillips, that's fine. But you said like mid rounds, and that's once you get to day 3, we're talking 4th, 5th round, probably more 5th round for me. Yeah, quicker than fast, like not a big target. Who is the kid from? Blanking on the name, but I mean he's
where? I want to play the trivia game. Who are you trying to think of?
I'm trying to think who I'm thinking of.
You're trying to think of who you're thinking of, but you don't have the school or the name, so you have no idea who you're thinking of.
UMass.
Tajay Sharp?
No.
Wasn't he Massachusetts?
Yeah, he was. But 3 years ago, the Cardinals drafted him 3rd round.
Andy Isabella?
Yes, thank you, Isabella. Now Isabella was he was faster though. That's why it's not. But talk about small target. Like it's a smaller target to throw to, and he'll create these little pockets of separation. But it's just I don't know. I mean, you have to kind of have a realistic expectation for what he's gonna bring to your offense.
What are the best mid to late round interior offensive line options? If I miss out on the top guys, this is a good question for me too, because I hate offensive linemen and I need to watch more.
So what range did he say?
Mid to late, because like my top guards are Zion Johnson, Kenyon Green, then Ed Ingram and Darian Kennard, then Sawyer and Parham, then the UCLA kid Ryan maybe in the 4th, and that's all I've seen.
Yeah, that's a good list. I've the only guy that I have in the top 7 guards that you didn't mention is Marquise Hayes from Oklahoma. But yeah, that's a good list right there. I think once you get to the mid to late rounds, Cam Jurgens from Nebraska, he's a lot of fun. Cam Jurgens is the day 3 developmental version of Tyler Linderbaum. He's athletic. He's short-armed. He's gonna. He's really physical in the run game. He will make plays 40 yards down the field. He is a high school tight end who put on weight and moved to center for the first time in his life when he got to Nebraska. So he's still learning and still figuring things out. But Cam Jurgens in the, I probably goes in the 4th round, but so mid rounds, I think Cam Jurgens could be that guy. If we're talking 5th, 6th round, maybe Donovan West from Arizona State. I think he's in that range and could be a worthy candidate. He's still young. He's not even 21 years old. So West is a guy that came in right away, started, has experience at guard and center for Arizona State. He could be an option in the 5th round at center. And then at guard, maybe the North Carolina kid is Izadu. He's 6'4", 325. Pretty good balance for a guy that is that size. Played tackle, but he's a better guard. So the North Carolina kid, I think he would be, if we're talking 5th, 6th round, he's someone to keep on the radar.
Let me see here. Assuming the Eagles take Jordan Davis, can tiny man Linderbaum handle him twice a year?
Whew, that would be fun.
Wouldn't be fun for Linderbaum. My guy will be in the right position. I tell you that.
I mean, he could outquick him, that's for sure. But I mean, Jordan Davis, he's so freaking wide. He just eats you up. I don't think that the Eagles are going to take Jordan Davis. That's not. But maybe they could.
Hell, he might be gone before them.
Yeah, I know. He went to Baltimore at 14 in my mock draft, so certainly it's definitely possible. Do you think Linderbaum's a realistic target at 24?
I think they would rather pick a guard. I don't think like the Cowboys are out on or hate Biotish, but I think if you
Right.
view Linderbaum as an instant upgrade, which I do, if you didn't have a guard option and you really just were desperate to upgrade the offensive line, I think it could make sense. But I don't know, because right now they just have a massive hole at left guard. But they'll probably fill it in free agency, like with a guy, not a good guy, but a guy. So they're like, what? We don't have to do anything, but they will have to do something.
Yeah.
I'm prepared for the first pick for the Cowboys to be a guard, and I'm good with it as long as it's one of the top two.
Yeah, I mean, Zion. Do you prefer Zion or Kenyon?
I flipped them. I did the cardinal sin. After the combine, and then just reading notes again, I was like, I'm comfortable that my notes say that I like them both about the same, and I am going to let the combine decide. And I put Zion ahead of Kenyon Green.
There you go. No, I'm with you. I agree. And I mean, Zion he's impressive, man. Both on the tape, both when you talk to him. He's just a really, really impressive dude. So he just got his master's in cyber information systems.
Oh hell yeah! Your team's not going to get hacked or anything.
Exactly.
Kick-ass.
He'll help you with your firewall. I mean, he will protect you virtually and on the field.
That's important. King Shadow. Dak put more effort into recruiting Von Miller than the front office did. I have no faith in Stephen Jones. Is it possible to have negative faith? Yeah, it is. Bobby, where does Dane have Nick Benito playing, edge or linebacker? What round could Cowboys team him with Micah?
That's the thing is, where do you play him? I mean, Benito
Oklahoma
obviously
does this every year. How big is he? Was he like 230, 235 like all their edge guys are?
I think it was over 240.
Okay.
But he's a kind of a one-trick pony. So let me see exactly what he came in at. Benito was he's 248. So 6'3", 248, 32.5-inch arms. He's a tweener. You know, like what do you want him going upfield attacking as a pass rusher, but how often is he going to be able to do that for you and be successful? Is he going to be a liability in the run game? I like Benito, but he's a sub-package guy to me. You know, he's a sub-package pass rusher that is not going to help you on early downs. And so, I think the rule was always you reserve a top 100 pick for a starter. But I think if you feel like a guy like a Benito can give you that a big impact, then even though he won't start, even if he can impact your roster in a big way as a sub-package player, then I can understand it. So I could see Benito going to top 100 because of what he gives you on sub downs as a guy that has juice off the edge and can disrupt what the quarterback's trying to do.
Thank you, BADFW, in the super chat. And thank you to anybody who signs up on Underdog Fantasy and uses the promo code Jeff C for a bonus there at the sign up. It's a lot of fun. Every night I go like $2 and I'm like, Luka over points, rebounds over, assists over, and then you parlay that bad boy and see if you get rich. There was two other questions. One from one of my guys on Twitch. He wanted to hear about Cole Strange, guard, later rounds. What about him?
Forget later rounds. He could go top 100. I love Cole Strange. I think he's one of my favorite players in the draft. He's small school guy, high school defensive end, moves the offensive line in college at Chattanooga. He's just a mean dude, and he doesn't apologize for it either. He's a guy that isn't the longest. He's not the biggest, but he's able to. He's okay with that. Like he's not a guy that gets pushed around very often. Works really hard to stay balanced. Quick feet, strong hands. You love the competitive toughness. I think he's going to compete for a starting job right away at center or at guard. He started mostly at guard in college, but he played really well at center at the Senior Bowl during practices. So I think from day one, you're third, probably in the late third, early fourth round is where he's going to end up, and he's going to compete for a starting job right away.
Okay, last guy, because somebody asked about him in the chat, and I haven't watched him yet, but I know that some people are big fans of him. The Cincinnati linebacker, is it Darian Beavers?
Yeah, I struggle with him. Have you seen him?
I haven't seen him yet. No, he's the one linebacker that, I mean, I look at everybody's rankings. I think maybe it's Pro Football Focus that likes him. I have not seen him yet.
I am on the other side. I did not love him, and maybe I will end up. The Patriots will draft him in the second round, and I'll end up being wrong. And that's fine. But I don't. He's not. He's a tweener player. Like, he was a former safety, a former defensive end. Like, and they just tried them all at these different spots: linebacker, safety, defensive end. Like, they add weight, lose weight. They move him around so much. I'm just not sure there's a natural position for him. He's a little stiff. But like, I don't see a ton of range to what he's doing. Now I do like his instincts. I do like, he's a good tackler. So I think somewhere like early day 3, I'm going to draft him and figure it out, whether he's going to be an inside linebacker in a 3-4, or maybe even as an edge rusher.
You're having this guy show up to his first practice and not be real sure where to go. Like, you're going to break up for individual work, and it's going to be like, hold on, Beavers, I'm thinking.
Yeah, seriously. Hold on. Let's flip a coin. I'm thinking of a number between one. Yeah, I mean, he's tough to figure out, because I mean, when you watch him, I think you'll see, like, he's a big, thick dude who is a decent athlete. I mean, he's smooth out there. But it's like, what do you do with him? I don't know. I think if he's one-on-one versus like Troy Pollard in space, I'm feeling pretty good about Troy Pollard picking up some yardage there. So Beavers is a little tough. I'm not as. What'd I say?
Troy.
Why'd I say Troy?
I don't know, but why don't you have a Troy Hambrick? You always have him on your mind, I guess. But have a little respect for the Cowboys' best running back, Dane. One guy wants to know where he can buy the Beast. Now, the Beast is included if they're subscribed to The Athletic, right?
That's it. Just need a subscription to The Athletic. And hey, if you just get a month subscription and that's all you need The Athletic for, that's, I hope you try us for longer than that. But
it's probably cheaper than the Beast used to be. You sign up for 1 month, you download the Beast, you move on with your day, but you will stick around, because I'm one of those guys who is slow to come around to paying for content. But The Athletic is absolutely worth it. Yeah, it's worth it for Cowboys and draft alone.
Heck yeah, it is. I mean,
honestly, you, Machota, and Sturm, like, it's already worth it. But you get whatever you want.
Right now we've got a promo for, I think, $1 a month for 6 months. So, and again, if you
make sure you sign up through one of Dane's articles.
Yes, please do.
I was at The Athletic once. I know how this works. Dane needs credit for you, so go to something of Dane's on there and then sign up from there.
Greatly appreciated.
They'll fire the hell out of Dane if he doesn't get these signups. These subscriptions are what we need. Speaking of which, on my main YouTube page, you can hit the join button. It's right next to the subscribe button. What does it get you? Really cool little emotes of Proud Brian and of my face in a variety of different ways. And the Party at Jeff's emote. You don't get a whole lot for it, but what you get is just to support me so I'm not homeless, if you appreciate the content. Dane, I'm done with you.
That's fine.
Well, for today, and maybe, we will do this again, and perhaps I'll join you in some other ventures fairly soon.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Maybe pretty soon we'll have some news on that.
Yeah, it'll be great. All right. Everybody out there, remember all the things and the stuff. Thanks for stopping by. Remember to be cool to everybody. That's not even how I started. You have no idea what anybody's going through. So